there, everyone. Welcome to episode number 645 of this here electronic engineering podcast called Amelia's Weekly Fish Fry, brought to you by eejournal.com and written, produced, and hosted by me, Amelia Dalton. My special guest this week is Dermot O'Shea, CEO of Taoglas. Dermot and I discuss the biggest design and development challenges engineers face today when integrating connectivity into their designs. How Taoglas can help speed up time to market for IoT designs, and the educational resources included in the Taoglas AntennaXpert. So, without further ado, please welcome Dermot to Fish Fry. Hi, Dermot. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Amelia. Thanks for having me. Yeah, great to be here.
Absolutely. Okay, so talk to me about Taoglas. How has your company come to be? And I saw that it all started with one GPS antenna. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. We actually, we didn't really start with the intention to do antennas, but we quickly found when we founded the company that that was an area where we found a product in a niche that was going to grow exponentially, which was the area of location-based services at the time. It was called, so when we actually started selling the GPS antennas, there was immediate interest in them, and there wasn't much competition in them. And then shortly afterwards, cellular modules came out, and then cellular took off as well, and everybody was asking us for those too. So it's just an area that we got steered to more based on the fact that there was quite a demand for the products back then. And look, let's be honest, there still is today, but there was just less competition at the time, I would say.
That makes sense. Now, what do you think are the biggest design and development challenges facing engineers today when they're incorporating connectivity, whether it's cellular or wireless or anything else, into their designs?
Yeah, well, you've kind of started the answer there with the question is that all the connectivity that you need in today's device adds huge amounts of complexity. So when we started, it was probably just GPS and cellular. So a 2G dual band cellular antenna plus modem and a single band GPS module and antenna on the other side of the device. Whereas today it's you're looking at more like a cell phone, right? You've got two to four, sometimes eight cellular antennas. You've got, a tri-band GNSS system with multi-constellations. You've probably got Wi-Fi. It could be, again, two or four dual band Wi-Fi systems. You may have LoRa. You probably have Bluetooth. You may have NFC, ultra wideband, all sorts. And if you look at the cell phone, somebody like Apple have, hundreds of engineers to do it. They have the latest and greatest in test and measurement equipment to do it. But most companies don't have those kind of resources because RF and wireless is not their main area of concern or purpose. So we provide that to them. So we become their engineering arm from a wireless and RF and antenna perspective. And we have the equipment, we have the engineers to do that part of the design so that they can focus on their main core area. But, I would say the main challenge is probably resources, being able to resource these types of challenges within companies. I think the executives still kind of expect, hey, we have a couple of engineers that can fix this, and they don't realize how complex it's gone, how much sourcing is involved, how much testing is involved. And then when you look at the specs of an antenna or a module or a component, the spec is just, and the design guidelines are just there to help you design in that component. It can never predict what's going to happen when you actually design it in with all the other stuff you now have in there. And the only thing that really helps you with that is experience and knowledge, collaboration to get through those design challenges. I just think companies underestimate it, right? An engineer will be put under pressure to ask with a question of how long does this take and how much does it cost? Not to be rude to anybody, but I triple it. So I triple the amount of time and I triple the amount of cost I'm told it's going to take, and sometimes that's not enough. And that is just a measure of how complex things are.
Absolutely. So, how can you guys help with those issues you just mentioned?
Just removing the uncertainty, so Our customers want to get their product to market on time every time. That's their main ask. No delays, no surprises. You don't want, issues with noise popping up later or certification failures or unmanufacturable components that were a great design, but somebody's not able to make them in high volumes. We just peace of mind. That's what we're giving to our customers is that if you engage with Taoglas, we remove the unknowns and we're responsible for the RF side. We're responsible for the antenna design and integration side and making sure that you get through certification from whatever wireless test they're doing and that we will have components delivered to you in a lead time that we promised. So it sounds kind of that should be a given, right? That should be simple. But with the increased complexity that we talked about and the pressure of timelines and the fact that everyone in the world is working on multiple projects at the same time, it's easier said than done. And so, hence, that's why if you look at our website, we have multiple sites, multiple locations. They're all for design and testing so that they can work with customers on a local basis. We have final assembly functions in the US, in Taiwan, in Ireland. And then we have multiple manufacturing sites in Asia as well. So that's kind of what you need to be able to deliver on your promise as a global antenna company in today's market.
So, time to market is also extremely important when it comes to IoT design. So, how can Taoglas help here?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most common points of failure here in this market, right? Is that people say, oh, I've heard so many times we're launching the product by the end of the year, or we have to launch before Christmas, or, within a few months, basically. And it's just not possible. I think most projects will take a couple of years from concept to get them to market. You have to do pilot testing. You have to, have your final device ready before you go through certification because any changes to that device means you'd have to recertify. And I think we just see everyone underestimate it. So the only people that don't really underestimate it are those who've done it before, those who've learned from previous failures. So, we just make sure that when we talk to the customer, we're under promising and we're over delivering, right? It's a cliche and it may sound corny, but that's the reality. Sometimes people walk away from using us because we're not saying we can do it in record speed times or we can't do it within the time frame asked. But we look at customers as partners. It's a long-term relationship that we're looking for. One IoT project doesn't make or break us, right? We want to be the antenna partner for all our customers' antenna and RF and cable needs, not just for this project, but for everything that they do. And the only way we can do that is by being an extremely reliable partner that does what they say on a consistent basis. Because people just can't afford the failures. And like everybody's had issues with antennas and cables and connectors. Everyone that's ever done wireless projects before, whether it was on the design side or the certification side, or whether it was on reliability over the long-term production side, we've seen it all. So we want to be, again, peace of mind that once you go into production with us, that we deliver on time, that the quality of each antenna is 100% as per the specification and that it was designed to, and that happens over whatever amount of years that you make it for.
That's great. Now, Taoglas has a variety of educational resources included in your Antenna Expert part of your site. So tell me more about what's included there.
Obviously, like we have tens of thousands of customers now globally, mostly through our channel partners as well. So we can't service and talk to all those customers, even though we'd love to. Okay, we can't be a monster sized company to do that. So we just have limited resources that can talk directly to each customer on a daily basis. Yet, when it comes to these type of products, you really do need consultation. You really do need to check which antenna is the best antenna for my specific use case and my specific device configuration. So what we're doing with like our antenna expert tools and a recommendation engine and our antenna builder, our cable builder, etc., is so that any customer at any time, anywhere in the world, can go onto our website and just narrow down that choice. And, by putting in some parameters of what it is they're doing, the size of their PCB, or, where they want to mount an antenna, what type of mounting mechanism they're going to use, so that they can simply, okay, well, here's one or two choices. Now I can just go and buy a sample and then at least start testing with that, at least start trialing with that, and then ask more questions back to us or through our channel partners thereafter. We're investing heavily in that. We're doing AI strategy and implementation right now that will help us be able to use, like, we have so much information ourselves over 22 years of servicing customers. Yeah, at the end of the day, a lot of the questions asked will be similar. So how can we use all the information we have to give customers more informed choices immediately, rather than, calling or sending emails and waiting for answers to come back. Everybody wants instant information back. And if we can do that, let's be honest, we'll grow our company as well, because that's what, engineers want, is immediate answers to their questions and queries so they can move on with their designs.
All right. So, Dermot, it is time for your off the cuff question. Are you ready?
I am.
Awesome. Okay, so if you could have one meal right now, it doesn't matter if you're on the other side of the world, you need a passport to get there, what would you have?
I'd have to go for Irish sausages with some mashed potatoes and gravy, and just can't beat the Irish sausages. I can't get them anywhere else. I've tried all the sausages of all the different nations across the world, and I think it's because I grew up with it. I crave it when I'm away, and then when I get back to Ireland, I binge on those. And it's interesting because we live in San Diego now, and my kids have grown up in America, and they love the Irish sausages as well. So I don't know if I've brainwashed them too, but it's yeah, it's not a very exciting or exotic one, but it's the old reliable for me.
I love it. That's great. What a wonderful answer. Well, Dermot, I think that's all I have time for today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Amelia. Enjoyed the chat.
Well, folks, that's all I've got for this week's Fish Fry. But if you'd like more information about Taoglas, check out this week's Fish Frying page on eejournal.com or this week's YouTube episode as well. Hey, have you checked out EE Journal on social media yet? Well, you should. You can find us at facebook.com/EEJournal. If LinkedIn is more your thing, I dig it. You can follow us or me on LinkedIn as well. And we are on Blue Sky Social and Mastodon too. And we have that YouTube channel I just mentioned, youtube.com/EEJournal. Folks, it is chock full of all kinds of techie videos, including our very popular Chalk Talk webcast series and our animated series called Libby's Lab. And of course, you can subscribe to our EE Journal YouTube channel as well. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you know of any cool new technology or heck you just want to chat, shoot me a line at Amelia, that's Amelia, at eejournal.com, or post a comment on our forums on EE Journal. For the week of August 15th, 2025, I'm Amelia Dalton, and you've been fried.